Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is another weather forecast discussion for January 25th, 2022. Of course, my name is Nate. I also go by Hockey Boy Nate. We've got a couple areas to watch here now in the future. However, clarity in regards to the models is still in question, as most, if not all, the models are approaching this next winter storm in however way they want to. The point being is with that is that there isn't really any synergy with what type of resolution we could get here this coming weekend. So to get an idea as to what could potentially happen in the future, let's take a look at the current water vapor imagery, or at least the satellite water vapor imagery, to get an idea as to what the general flow of the wind patterns are here in the atmosphere. We got this huge ridge developing off the coast of the western United States here. You can see this massive clockwise formation here, and then a wicked low pressure system right to the outside of that. Look at that there on water vapor imagery. That's pretty cool. Almost completely circular there with that. And on the opposite side of the ridge from that low pressure system, we also have this little invisible low pressure system here with this huge dip in the jet stream right within here. And usually when you have this huge dip in the jet stream, you usually can associate this with some sort of trough that's moving on through. And this is going to create some snow for some of the areas here of the Rockies as well as the Central Plains. So watch out for that, but not expected to get a whole lot with that afterwards. And then because of this ridge right here, we can also anticipate more low pressure systems to come here from Canada and kind of clip the northern portions of the US. If not, steer it completely down south and make a giant bowling pattern here, just like that. Now, if we zoom in here to the areas that are going to get impacted by the snow, you can see we do have a couple winter storm warnings here for northwestern portions of Kansas. So watch out for that, as you guys could potentially get in upwards of 4 to 7 inches of snow within your general vicinity. But other than that, you are in a winter storm advisory, or a winter weather advisory, I should say. So just be on the lookout, especially if you're in these little lavender boxes across the board in the United States. You guys are in a winter weather advisory. Now, before we head off towards the weather models here, if you guys do enjoy the content that I provide on the channel, please be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to stay up to date with all the latest information that I will provide, especially since the videos that I make is on life-threatening weather. And because we do have a winter storm that could potentially become a blizzard, then I would highly recommend staying tuned to the channel so that you guys can stay up to date with what I provide. As well as by liking the video, you actually help me get this out to more and more people on YouTube, essentially helping me spread the information. And let's be honest here, guys, if this storm actually does come out into fruition like what some of the models do, then we are going to want to try and spread it with as many people as possible. So please be sure to do that, and let's get straight on to the weather models. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at the big picture here first with the North American model, just to try and get an idea as to what all happens before this winter storm actually moves on through. So if you want to take a look at the timing, it is above me in Eastern Standard Time. Now, the one thing that I want to show you guys first off is we do have a low pressure system over here in the Gulf of Mexico, and this could potentially create some showers and thunderstorms for portions of Florida. Now, I do not anticipate this to be majorly severe. There isn't a 1 out of 5 on the severe weather scale today. It's only a general thunderstorm risk, but I would not be surprised if it did get up to a 1 out of 5 just for strong damaging winds. So please be advised over there, if you live along the peninsula of Florida, you guys could potentially get some showers and thunderstorms here practically from Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. You can see how those showers and thunderstorms start to go off into your general vicinity, and then you can also see those snow showers actually push on through into portions of the Rockies and the Central Plains as well. And that's the reason why you have your winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings out within that general vicinity. So watch out. And if you also pay attention here from the Great Lakes all the way to the northeast, you can see that some residual snow showers is possible throughout much of the day on Tuesday into Wednesday, with another storm expected to come on through from Wednesday into Thursday, especially in towards portions of Ontario and Quebec. Another clipper is expected to move on through in that general area. So watch out for that, as you guys could get more and more snow if you haven't seen some already. And of course, the general snow totals here for this general area, not exactly too much, mostly marginal throughout much of the area, except for here along portions of northwestern Kansas to where those winter storm warnings are, with an upwards of 10 inches of snow possible. It actually says the maximum down here at the bottom right hand side is 9.5 inches, but it's rather be safe than sorry in that instance. So if you live within those areas, please take your proper precautions and be ready just in case if anything bad happens, because you'd rather be safe than sorry in some instances. But now here we go. Here's Thursday into Friday now, and as this pushes on through, you can see this massive dip in these blue isobars, meaning a lot of cold air is shooting down. This is going to be an extreme amount of cold air that's just basically going to make it a lot colder than average. And then boom, you have your new low pressure system that starts to develop off of the coast here of the Carolinas as well as Florida, with some more moisture coming in back behind from the Gulf of Mexico. And then you already have snow in place across much of the area here from Friday afternoon into Friday evening. And this is the area to watch. Practically this entire vicinity here of the Ohio Valley all the way through into the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic, you guys could potentially get some substantial amounts of snow. And look at this here. According to the Euro model, this is really when stuff starts to fire off, and you have this big low pressure system that sits just off of the coast of Long Island, and that's where some substantial amounts of snow could rain here throughout much of this area. And we could be talking about this low pressure system sitting here for a couple of hours before this thing finally moves off from Saturday into Sunday. But by then, you'll have about a day and a half of continuous snow across some portions within the northeastern United States. So watch out for that. And then potentially another low pressure system could move on through here in the central portions of the United States. Maybe some severe weather and maybe some winter weather throughout much of these areas. But we're going to have to watch out as to how that moves on through, because we are a little bit far away in order for us to basically pinpoint a specific area as to what could get what. Alright, so from now all the way to the end of the video, I'm going to be comparing two different models so that they show you guys what opinion they have, and you can see how different it is from each other so that we can try and determine as to what could be possible outcomes, which areas could get what, which areas could not, and just to try and get a grasp as to what is happening. And just by taking a look at it here, we have the GFS here on this side, and then we have the Euro model over here on this side. So just keep in mind here, from now until the end of the video, that is what we're going to be looking at. And on this pattern here, we're going to be taking a look at the 500 millibar wind shear, which is about 6 kilometers above ground level. And so we're going to be taking a look at how significant the wind shear is within some of those areas. So as this moves on through here, you can see the massive ridge off of the coast of the western United States, which is pretty consistent there, as well as the cyclone right next to it, the new low pressure system that is on the side, as well as the low pressure system that's going to be moving on through the Gulf of Mexico. So all this is relatively accurate as to what all is happening right now. And let's just skip all the way over here from Wednesday into Thursday. And this is when things start to really become interesting, because we have a new low pressure system that's going to start to develop here, according to both models. And then another low pressure system that tries to develop right about here with enhanced wind shear coming from the north to the south to try and basically push this low pressure system down here into more of a boundary. And what happens here, according to the Euro model, is this happens a lot sooner than the GFS, to where you have some more significant wind shear here on the southern side of this new elongated trough here that begins to develop. And this starts to form the process called bombogenesis in this instance, to where this low pressure system basically gets stronger and stronger. The wind shear around it becomes stronger and stronger. And then you can start to see some significant wind gusts around the center of low pressure system right up here in the northeast. Now, because the Euro forms a little bit earlier, we can anticipate a bit more of a curl to the left, to where more wintry precipitation can be wrapped around completely, and we can have more snow across areas from the mid-Atlantic to the northeast. But if this low pressure system does not develop as early as the Euro says, then a good model to look at is the GFS, because this bomb cyclone hasn't fully developed quite yet until it has moved off well further towards the north and east, towards areas near Maine and Nova Scotia. So it's a tale of two models here in this instance. What happens here between the time frame of Thursday into Friday? Does that low pressure system get sheared off completely to the point where it becomes a massive boundary, or does it hang around a little bit more and curl off along the coast. And I think the main contributor in this instance as to why the GFS says this compared to what the Euro says is because there isn't really a significant high pressure system that is kind of off of the coast near Bermuda. That Bermuda high has kind of receded a bit further towards the east, towards areas south of the United Kingdom and off of the coast of Europe. So we're just going to have to see as to how significant this low pressure system actually digs down completely. But the big thing here is that it depends upon how quickly that low pressure system really starts to fire off and undergo bombogenesis. Because if it waits until the last second, we can see a very similar solution to the GFS rather than what the Euro says, which happens a lot earlier. So as we play this out here with the simulated radar, remember the top left is GFS, top right is Euro, and you can see how both of the models actually start to form low pressure systems off of the coast of the Carolinas. That right there is very consistent, but what happens here is because the low pressure system of the Euro is a lot more significant than the low pressure system of the GFS, this low pressure system actually curls a bit more towards the left rather than the GFS a bit more just kind of subtle towards the left. So watch this as this moves on through. Boom, big curl off to the left here, whereas the GFS kind of just glides further and further off towards the north and east. And this is the big thing here to watch out. Depending upon how close this low pressure system is towards the coast can determine as to what areas can get snow. For instance, if you take a look at the Euro, you can see a lot more snow is covered over areas from the mid-Atlantic all the way up towards the northeast, specifically up here in the northeast. Look at this. Massive snowfall amounts can be contributed towards this dark purple or dark blue within this area, whereas if you take a look at the GFS, you can only see the major areas here along portions of New England compared to areas more towards the mid-Atlantic Delmarva as well as further inland. And if we play this out a little bit further, you can see how the low pressure system on the Euro continues to stay along this general area, whereas the GFS moves on through further towards the northeast. But the low pressure systems at this point are the same pressure. It's at 965 millibars, which means that both of these are at the same strength at this current time period. So watch out for that, as there could definitely be some significant wind gusts within this general area. And I would not be surprised if there was a blizzard out of the system somewhere here in the United States, whether it's here across New England and Cape Cod, or if it's up here a bit further towards Maine. Would not be surprised within this general area. So just definitely something to watch out here for from Friday all the way into Sunday with this giant low pressure system. And just to put it a little bit more into perspective, we're going to be taking a look at the 500 millibar level again, but in this instance, we're going to be taking a look at the relative humidity. And this could also be a good factor to determine as to where the moisture is, as well as where the developing trough or the boundary could potentially be at. And you can see here, according to the Euro, massive boundary forms here. This big cold front here with this big negatively tilted shortwave trough right within this area, compared to the GFS, where there isn't that big negatively tilted trough and that boundary developed quite yet. You can see how the isobars are tightly compacted right here within these black lines, whereas there's a lot more space between these black lines over here in the GFS. So definitely something to watch out for as to how this continues to move on through here, especially as we get closer and closer to the event. How will the models portray this as we get closer and closer to the event is the big thing here we're going to have to watch out for. So stay tuned to the channel, as I'm going to continue to give you guys as many updates as I possibly can. So what about the totals? What about the snowfall totals? Because I'm pretty sure you guys didn't come here to just hear me ramble and stuff like that. Well, here we go. GFS on the left, Euro on the right, and you can see the Euro, because the European model favors that low pressure system a bit further towards the coast, shows some massive widespread snow totals across much of the area as far south as northeastern portions of North Carolina, and extends all the way further, all the way into portions of Nova Scotia up there, whereas the GFS model actually shows the majority of the snow ranging from New England and further northeast. So it's the tail between two models, the tail between two opinions. Depending upon which one actually occurs can determine the outcome of what happens this Saturday. And of course, I know one thing's for sure. If we take a look at the wind gust swath, or the maximum wind gusts within this entire time frame of this event, I mean, look at this. Blizzard-like conditions is easily possible. You only need 35-mile-per-hour wind gusts or above in order to get blizzard-like conditions, as well as the snow, of course, with the visibility as low as it would be. And I mean, look at that according to the Euro model. Some areas can get an upwards of hurricane force winds within some of the areas, whereas if we take a look at the GFS, you can see that's only possible here in portions of Maine. So we're going to have to watch out throughout much of this area. But the big thing here is that much of Cape Cod here, from Boston all the way down towards Cape Cod and Providence, as well as even into portions of Connecticut, you guys could consistently get blizzard-like conditions. So I would be on high alert if you're in those areas. I think the main consistency here with all these models is that somewhere over there near Cape Cod will probably potentially be a blizzard within that general area. Now, I would not be surprised if this changed a little bit. Could potentially see less, could potentially see more, but I would be on high alert. I wouldn't go to DEFCON 1 quite yet if you're in those areas, but it's still something to watch out for as this continues to move on through from Saturday into Sunday. Now, our give it to me straight question of the day is, what do you guys think will happen with this storm? Do you think it will go similar to what the Euro says, or do you think it'll go somewhere what the GFS says, or maybe something in between? Maybe it doesn't happen. I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. If I find the most interesting one, then I'll pin you down in the comments down below. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, turn on notifications, share this with friends and family and on social media. Also follow me on social media, link will be in the description down below. I made this video at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's now 5:18 in the morning, so whoop-de-doo for me. I did this relatively early in the morning because I was pretty tired last night, so I'm just trying to get something out for you guys to get some sort of information on the storm. Now, of course, you probably heard it multiple times from other sources, but I like to get my 2 cents in there as well, just to try and get an idea as to what could potentially happen from my perspective. So I'll catch you guys in the next video. More than likely will be on Wednesday, so stay tuned for that and turn on notifications. Peace out, everyone.